Masechta Avoda Zara, Daf Zayin Amud Aleph. We're starting from Vav Amud Beis, 4 lines from the bottom. In the Gemara, we learned about a third opinion in a gay collecting from a guy before the Chaga. Says the Gemara Masnisin Al Mishnah, which is not mechalik between if it's a milva b'shtar or if it's a milva peh. A milva b'shtar means that there was a star. Milva peh means just by word of mouth. I mean, they lent the money. There was no it wasn't documented. It says Gemara Al Mishnah Lo Yikra Yeshua ben Kocha does not follow Rabbi Yeshua ben Kocha. Why? The Tanya, because we learned in the following Baraisa Rabbi Yeshua ben Kocha Ima milva b'shtar ain't nifroi mahen. A milva b'shtar, a milva that's documented, that you're not allowed to collect. Because he'll go and if he collects, right? So he'll go by Duncan sein for the Chaga, yeah. Okay.
Who's Milva? Is it the Goys or the Yids?
Milva. Now we're talking about Milva B'shtar.
Yeah. Who's
so the Oivd Gechavim pays up. It's the Yids. It's the Yid star. The Yid.
So why can't he wait?
The Yid is the Malva. So if it's a star,
he can always
so he can wait. He can always collect. So that's why we're saying it's awesome for him to collect before the Chaga, 3 days before the Chaga. But if it's a Milva Peh, Nifrei you're allowed to collect from them.
You gotta make the money back.
Oh, Nation.
It says that Abraham was allowed to do a business deal, even though he was buying with a guy, even though it was on Yontif, even though whatever it was, because the
just
shave
to be okay, yeah. Because it's like he's saving his money from their hands, because a guy, he can raise from them. There's no proof. You have no documents. If you don't take the money when the eyes in his haze, you might not. When the iron's hot, if you don't, when he's ready to give, you might never get it. Rabbi Yosef was one of the Talmud of Rabbi Abba. He was sitting behind Rabbi Abba. It was a whole bunch of shuris. But Yosef Rabbi Abba came to Rabbi Huna, and Rabbi Abba was sitting in front of Rabbi Huna. Rabbi Huna was the Rebbe. Rabbi Yosef was a shura behind Rabbi Abba. That means whoever was in the closest shuris were the more cheshve talmidim, and the Rebbe was Rabbi Huna. Yosef and Rabbi Huna sat down and he said, "Hilchasek Rabbi Yeshua ben Kocha, Hilchasek Rabbi Yehuda, Hilchasek Rabbi Yeshua Hadamon." This that we said that by a milva peh, you're allowed to collect, because if you might lose the whole money. Very good. That's a good one. Yes, it's a mitzvah. It's enough to get geld. Matzah zayin geld. Yeah. If he won't, he might not get it. It might become chamstik, like you said. Rabbi Yehuda. Where do we see that the Allah is like Rabbi Yehuda? Says you wanted to know that we learned in the following Mishnah.
What did Rabbi Yehuda say before?
Oh no. It now was saying Rabbi Yehuda. And this is the famous case that we had in Bab Metzia. Somebody who gave wool to the person who dies. Let's say he gave him a sweater to pardon right, and he did it black. Or or he gave him a kapata to make it the dye black, and he gave him a red kapata. He's not too happy with it. Yeah, we had in Bab Metzia. It's very famous.
That's Bab Metzia that we had in our shiurim, no?
Yes, we learned Bab Metzia. Sure, we had it a couple of times in this case. Rab Meir says, "Nice and loy." The dyer has to give to the owner of the wool, the money of the wool. Whatever he laid out, he's got to pay him back. Rabbi Yehuda says the Baal Tzema, he's the Yad al Yoina. L'mashal, imashvach yes al Yitziyah. Let's say the Yitzias were $10, and because he made it red, the opposite of the color that he told him, it went up $30. So he gets. He only has to pay $10. The Baal Tzema gives the worker just the height size, and he takes the profit because it's a lot more money. He gets the other aliyena. What's if the expenses were more than the profits? L'mashal, it was $18. He put down $10 for expenses, and it made $18. So who gets the 10? The Baal Tzema gets the 10, and Noisin Lei Rakas Hashvach. And he gives the worker just the profits, which is only 8. So it's always the Baal Tzema always has the overhand. Rabbi Yosef turned his face when he was a Talmud, but in order to protest as a Talmud, he would turn his face out of anger. What was he upset about? Says it's understood that the halacha is like Rab Shua ben Kocha. Because Sakat Chamina, I would have thought Yoch Rabin, halacha Rabin. When you have a Yoch against a Rabin, the halacha is like Rabin. And since the Chachamim argue on Rabbi Yeshua ben Kocha by a milval peh, they say the Chacham say you're not allowed to collect. And Rabbi Yeshua ben Kocha said by a milval peh, save your money and collect. Kamash Malon, even though he was a Yachid, the halacha Rabbi Yeshua ki Yachid. The halacha is like Rabbi Yeshua ben Kocha, who was the Yachid.
Why is that look like him? Because he's saying a good thing.
Yeah, that's passing. Oh yeah. The Rav is saying halacha Rabbi Yehuda. Lovely. Why does he have to even? Why was there a need for him to say it? Pshita. It's a pashta zach. The machlekes v'achakach stam. Hilchzak stam. The halacha is when you have first a machlekes and then you have in the same inyan a stam mishnah. Nobody's arguing. The halacha is like the stam. So you had a machlekes in the mishnah. So he's saying the machlekes was in Bava Kama, the first part of the Zikin. And then the stam was Bebab Metzia, in the middle part of the Zikin. The Tanan, that we learned in the Mishnah, Kol HaMeshana, whoever changes from what the Balabayas told him to do. The Balabayas told him, here's my kapot to dye black. He dyed it red. Who wears a red kapot? I mean, he went against his will. So Yodel Tachtena, therefore his hand is on the bottom. He gets the Bechol HaChizabay, and anyone who backs out of a deal, he gets the brunt. I mean, he gets Yodel Tachtena. He loses. He's the one that loses. So says the Gemara. So why did the Rav Huna have to tell us that halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda? It's a pashta zach. We have a klal machlekes v'achakach stam halacha stam. Says the Gemara, Rav Huna had to pass halacha Rabbi Yehuda. Mishum dein seidel the Mishnah, because there's no orders. You can't know which one came first. You're saying the machlekes happened in Baba Kama, and the stam was in Bab Metzia. But when they actually learned it in yeshiva, it could have been the reverse. It could have been the stam came first and the machlekes came after, and then the halacha is not like the stam. You could say the first thing that they learned when they actually learned they learned the stam first, and the machlekes, and then they learned the machlekes. In fact, if you're saying there's no Seder Mishnah, how do you have the klal kol machlekes v'achakach stam? How do you say the halacha is kistam? Leimein say the Mishnah. Finish. Say there's no order. You don't know which one came first. The Gemara Rav Huna will say ki lo yamin say the. When do we say there's no order in the Mishnah? Meaning ki lo amrina ein say the Mishnah. It's two negatives. It means when do you say there's a say the Mishnah? Bechad mesachta and one mesachta, but betrei mesachta. But if it's two different mesachtas, and there we'll say ain't say the Mishnah. And here we have two mesachtas, Baba Kama Baba Metzia. Rav Yosef. So what's the kasha? So it's a setaka chiddush, because it's not machlekes v'achakach stam. It could be stam v'achakach machlekes if it's two. And here we're talking about two separate mesachtas. Right.
But doesn't matter. What is called Baba Kama?
That was the first Baba. The next one is Baba Metzia.
So you see,
but when they actually learned it could have been the reverse.
But his answer is that.
So Rav Yosef.
He says
That's Rav Yosef. So the chiddush, why would Rav Yosef get angry? That's a chiddush to say that the halach is like Rav Yehuda, and you can't say it's mitzad machlekes v'achakach stam. It's two mesachtas. So why did Rav Yosef get angry? Rav Yosef, kulon nezikan, chad mesachta. Rav Yosef says, I got angry because I don't hold like Rav Huna who says Baba Kama Baba Metzia are three babas. I hold it's all one mesachta, and in one mesachta we did learn. There is an order, and if the stam came first and the machlekes, if the machlekes came first and the stam came after, the halacha is kistam. If you want, I'll tell you another answer. Mishum de ketoni lo gabi hilsa psikso psikosa the hayra in this stam mishnah. It wasn't a stam mishnah. It was a mishnah was paskin halachis. The way he's stating halachis. Kol hamishana, somebody who is mishana from the das balabayis. Yodel Tartoina. Nochadin, V'chol Achrizabay, Yodel Tartoina. Whoever backs out of the deal, Yodel Tartoina. So you learned it as the Stam Mishnah as Psokis. Obviously, this was the Stam Mishnah, and that's why the halacha is like that, because you learned it as a Psak halacha. Lo yoyma adl chaveirei. One shouldn't say to his friend, Hanira shatamid imi la'arev. He says, look, it seems maybe we could, I could see you after Shabbos about a meeting, a business deal. So on Shabbos, he says,
This Shabbos, that's better.
Lo yoma adma chaveri bis Shabbos. You'll see it says, huh? Dit Shabbos gered. There is andere sagen as the Madam.
In the end, he sold everything.
One second, hold on. Sagen the Madam sagt, as a Tag eben sagt, the Shabbos gered is a health. I don't know. As I sagt man. Rabbi Yeshua ben Kocha ima adma chaveri anira shetamidim ilarev. He says you're allowed to say the Shabbos gered will be seen to be after Shabbos. You know the famous story, like you said, a guy tells his friend the Shabbos gered to have a beautiful car, have a great deal. So the Shabbos gered how much? He says $18,000. Okay, he comes back 3 hours later. The Shabbos gered I want to buy it. He says the Shabbos gered Chibshem Fakayt. Alles the Shabbos getroffen, everything at Shempa Cave. That's it. He offered the price. Das weiß ich nicht. Aber Rabbi Bachana amar Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Bachana said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Hilchasek Rabbi Yeshua ben Kocha. The halacha is talking like Rabbi Yeshua ben Kocha. He could say, I'll meet with you after Shabbos about a business deal. If you go to a Chacham to ask him a shayla, Tamei Aser. And the Chacham says, V'timei, the Chacham passing, the Rav passing, Tamei. Like Yishol Chacham Achabi tired. Don't go to. All right, this Rav is not good. Let me try. Let me go Rav happy. Maybe this Rav will be more Mako. So
he doesn't know what he's saying. This Rav.
No, he's not saying that. He says he's going to go to another Rav. In order that he should become tired. So too, Anishla Chacham. Somebody goes to a Rav, and we are saying, and the Chacham said, "Asa, like Yishol Chacham. Don't go to another Rav. In order that he should be matter for you." Sagt die Mother, how you schneiden? What's if there was two Talmidei Chacham that were sitting together in the base medrash? And how you act with Tamei Tari? It's two Rabbanim, one says Tamei, one says Tari. Echad dois vechet mate, or one says Asa and the other one says Mutter.
What's it then?
Im hayach nahem gadol mechab vein mechachma ubeminyan al acharav. If one of them was smarter and older, or minyan means he had much more people that liked, more experience and appreciate his opinion, so then you follow him. But if you don't have, if they're equal, then you go after the one that's machmer.
This guy, the maker, is a chacham.
I once asked Rabbi Dworkin about it.
He says to be machmer. Bechlal, I always heard from my father, it's nicht kein Chochme zu machmer sein. The Chochme zu mekel sein. And he says, well, the mice is with the Hunde machmer. He says that whenever you have a tape in a chicken, the Rabbi says, go to the dog, and Ebed Bilin, if he'll start, that he wants to eat, and he'll start barking, then it's tape. So alles is given tape.
I asked Rabbi Dworkin, I had shoes that would have a buckle, not laces.
Right.
I says, which shoe do you buckle first?
Oh, that's because you put on first the right, and then the left, and then you
buckle
tie.
the left. That's what
Right.
Rabbi Dworkin told me.
Right, it's like
My
tie.
mother said, no, it's not a lace. You don't have to do that. That's what he told me. So, who do I have to follow?
I don't know.
You
Rabbi
just said
Malo,
you
I
said
tested. Yeah, but Rabbi Malo went through a lot. But Rabbi Malo, we tested out to Shulchan Aruch the C from he was able to say it backwards. Backwards. Okay. Anyway, he was unbelievable. You heard of it?
It was a big matzah.
A big master. Rabbi Yeshua ben Kocha, Rabbi Yeshua ben Kocha says, "B'shalteira halach acha machmeh." When it comes to minat Torah, we go after the machmeh. But betuma, which is only with the soften, is midrabanan halach acha machmeh. We go after the lenient one. I'm gonna have Yisrael Hilchasek Rabbi Yeshua ben Kocha. The halacha is like Rabbi Yeshua ben Kocha. Rabbi Yeshua ben Kocha, it says that taka there's a chiluk between minat Torah and midrabanan. In our Torah we go machmeh, in our Torah we meko, and the halacha is like him. All the gazlonim that you cannot trust for edus or amaratzim, you cannot trust for maisa. So he says if they were chayz v'tshuva, he says you can never trust them. A gazlan in testifying, you can never trust even if he did tshuva. And Amaretz, you can't trust that he took off Maisa, even if he did Tshuva. Those are the words I have made. Chaz b'hem b'matmenis. If he did tshuva hiddenly, ain't mekabel ma'isam. We don't accept their testimony by Goslin, or we don't accept if he's amaretz that he took over ma'isam. But if he went openly and he says, "I did these things," and I want to do tshuva, mekabel ma'isam, then we say we are mekabel him. And he says, because B'seisa, you don't say, B'seisa, he's not going to be embarrassed. So he's
the guy really wants to do tshuva.
he does it in front of everybody, and he allows himself to be embarrassed. Ikadam, the others say, us the dream with Matmin is, if till now he did his sins B'seisa, Mekabloisa, you'll accept him because but once he was able to do it b'fahesia, so he got used to it. He had the chutzpah to turn out his b'fahesia. So even Mekabloisa, we don't accept him. Reb Shimon, Rabbi Yeshua ben Kocha, even ben Kach or ben Kach Mekablim. Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Yeshua ben Kocha says ben Kach, whether it made it, I mean, whether it was in public, whether it was in hidden that he did shuvah, you accept them. Shanam shuvu banim shevavim. Return my children shevavim. Shevavim is plural, so it's referring wayward. Sai if it's a wayward that was hidden, or sai if he did Avedis B'Fahesia. Rabbi Yitzchak ish kafar kvar Akko. Rabbi Yitzchak, a man from the village of Akko, and Rabbi Yitzchak said the name of Rabbi Yochanan. Hilchasek Yisazuk. The halach is like Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Yeshua ben Kocha, that you could, even if no matter what, where he sinned, whether he sinned hiddenly or he sinned B'Fahesia, you trust them, you believe them. Zok the Mishnah Rabbi Yishmael Shloisha. Lifneihem ushleish lachareihem aser. He was the only one that said it. Rabbi Yishmael, the Reisha said, only 3 days be lifnei eideyem. The first Mishnah in the lifnei eideyem shleisha yamim. You're not allowed, but it doesn't say about after, right? The first Mishnah only spoke about lifnei eideyem shleisha yamim. That's it. Also, you're not allowed to do business. Here comes the Rabbi Yishmael says, not only lifneim, u'shleish lachreim also you're not allowed to do. The Chacham say, lifnei yedeyem, aser, you're not allowed to do business, lach yedeyem muter. If the Chagah, you're allowed. Omer Rav Tachlifa bar Avdimi Amar Shmuel. Rav Tachlifa, the son of Avdimi, said in the name of Shmuel, Yoim Rishon, it's like the Sunday church, whatever they call it. Is L'divnei Rabbi Yishmael Lo'elam Asa. According to Rabbi Yishmael, you're not allowed to do business with such people because 3 days before the Chagah, 3 days after the Chagah, it's Asa. So if you count 3 days before and 3 days after, and the Chagah, that's the whole week. You cannot do business with them at all. That's what Lo'elam Asa means. But then it says Achamemen Lefnei Yedein Asa Lach Yedein Muta. It's only Asa before the Chagah, the 3 days before. But after the Chagah, it's Muta. Why again? Chachamim, Hainu Tanakama. Chachamim are the same as the Tanakama of the first Mishnah. So why are you saying again the Chachamim Maimim here? They're the same Shita. Says you want to know. Who
said in the first Mishnah who's the man?
That's the Tanakama. Here it says Chachamim.
So that's the same Chum, no?
He says, why are you saying the Chachamim? We already mentioned the Shita of the Tanakama. It's the same Shita. Says the Gemara, there's a chilik. If it's the 3 days excluding the Chagah itself, Tanakama Sava heim below yedayan. The Tanakama we had already concluded. It says lifnei. Lifnei teaches us excluding the Chagah itself, 3 days without the Chagah. But Abanus Havrai, but the Chachamim over here, they include the Chagah part of the 3 days. If you want, I'll tell you another chilek. Nasa nikvedayu. They're arguing if you did business, if you can have a no from that money. Tanakama soba nasa mutar. The Tanakama says if he already did the business, even though it's aser, it's mutar ba'ano. But the Rabbanan of this Mishnah hold nasa that if he did business, it's aser. If you want, I can tell you another answer. The Shmuel Ikimenayu. The Hirav Shmuel is going to be the chilik. The Amar Shmuel, that Shmuel had said, Magoyle ein asur el b'yom Edom. In Golus, the only day that it's asur is the Chag itself, but the 3 days before not.
What do you mean in Golis? Like where? When?
In Golis, meaning
Not in Eretz
not in
Yisrael?
Eretz Yisrael. Why? Because the Eidei Rechavim in Chutz La'aretz didn't stick to the religion wholeheartedly.
They weren't so firm.
They weren't so firm like they say. That's what the Gemara says. Eidei Chacham shebechutz la'aretz lav eidei avedis kecham mehem. Unless Sheminig Avisim and B'Yadeya, it was just a minig that they followed, but did they believe in it? In ganzen nicht. So therefore, it's only on the Chag itself.
All these dinners don't apply.
America picked America.
Doesn't apply. Right?
Doesn't apply, yeah. Tanakama, Eastly the Shmuel. The Tanakama holds like Shmuel.
Tradition.
Yeah. In Chassidus sagt man mitzvahs anoshim elumada. They do it because you're murgal,
Yeah,
you're
that's a
here.
Jewish term.
Okay, well, have no adolis. I'm saying that. Tanakama Islay the Shmuel. The Tanakama holds like Shmuel that the Islas with Nei Edain is only in Eretz Yisrael. Rabban Masai, the Chachamim Leslu the Shmuel. They don't hold the Shmuel. They say even the 3 days in Golis before the Chagah is also. If you want, I'll tell you another answer. The Nochum Hamodi. The hero of Nachman Hamadi is the chilik between the Tanakama and the Rabban Basoi. The time that we learned in the Braisa. Nachman Hamadi Yoima. Nachman Hamadi says, "Einay asa elo yom echad." It's only asa to do business one day with Neyedem, one day before the Chagah. Tanakama less late than Nachman Hamadi. The Tanakama doesn't hold. He argues. He says 3 days. Rabban Basoi islu the Nachman Hamadi. And if you look in the Mishnah, he doesn't say shloisha. He says lifnei yadayin. If you look carefully in the last Mishnah, in the first Mishnah, it says lifnei yadayin shloisha yamin. But when it comes to that, so you see it's 3 days. Unzer Mishnah says lifnei yadayin. That's it. Also, it doesn't say how many days. So that's why he holds 1 day. Gufa. Once you mentioned already Nachman Hamadi. Gufa. We had already learned the Gufa of the Brisa. This is what we learned in the Braisa. They said, the Chachamim said to Nachman Hamadi, remove what you're saying, and it should not be spread out to anybody. We can't learn what you're saying. Because it's going to discombobulate what really the
Chacham.
Chacham.
But the Chag is on Sunday, so therefore we can't have do any business with them on Shabbos. But maybe we don't do Shabbos anyway.
Shabbos,
so when is
Shabbos, but it means every Chag. It's not
Chag.
only the Sunday Chag. They have the other Chagim. We said the 8 days. Okay, we said the Rabbanan of our Mishnah says we finish like Nachman Hamadi. It says Lefnei Yedayim. It doesn't say 3 days. So how could you say that? How could you remove Nachman Hamadi's opinion if the Chachamim hold like him? Says, what are you talking about? Man Chachamim. It's even though we said the words Chachamim, it's really Nachman Hamadi. It's only Nachman Hamadi. There's no Chacham that hold like him. Tanya Yidach, we learned in another Braisa. Nachman Hamadi Yima Meichen Lahem Sus Zacha Zakein B'Malchama. But Nachman Hamadi said that you're allowed to sell a goy, even though B'chlal you're not allowed to sell a behema gasa to a goy. Why? Because it has to be shvisas behema. Once you sell it,
or horses because they use it in Chama.
No, that's later. That's another shita. But right now, the Gemara is saying shvisas behema. What does that mean? That if you sell them, you'll get accustomed to lending them, renting it out to them. It's like sales you're doing. So that's a problem because when it comes to it's yours. And on Shabbos they're doing work with behema, and the Torah says there has to be shvisas. There's a isav shvisas v'hemtei. You're not allowed to work the animal if it belongs to a yid. But Nachman Hamadi said it. If it's an old animal, a sus zach, a male, the horse, and old, he says that's unusual for somebody to buy it, and therefore you're allowed. They said the Chacham said no. You started to make chilukim and did it. Let it be forgotten. It shouldn't be said.
There should be any animal.
Every animal is also. Don't stop making chilukim sus zacha. You can't have a tatum here. But there's bemseda who holds like him. Bemseda mata besus. There's a tana that's mata to sell a sus to everything chachamim. So that's like it's even more lenient than Nachman Hamadi. He says any sus. And he brings down Right? He says any sus. He doesn't say the reason for it. And the Gemara B'Mseda loy mamachli beis charum lekevas. B'Mseda is not really saying like noch mamadei. He's not mechalik between sus and mischarim and a kevas, and between an old and a young sus. He says all sus and mamuter. Says the Gemara.
What would be the, what's the difference?
Why all
What's so
sus?
special about the sus that he holds in ganze mutter? This one says between an old sus and a young sus.
I don't see what his shita is. I was looking before. It says Avsha came Shabem said with Nachman Amadi Hem Shtei Shita Shar Nachman Amadi Hem Mata Lim Kela Susach with Zak Chav Bem said Mata Lim Kol Sushu Koma Ka Gemara Tama doesn't say it. Bachu Shu said Cham Ism Ham Susim. Koma Ka Mata Lim Kela Ham Susach doesn't bring down. What
is Rashi then say except the Sud with Pisha but after Lirchak Olam Adam Olam the aim of Allah Zuk Kiyat Chatas. If you ride on a horse.
Oh, so I saw that before. Yeah, it's only Isle Abanan. Yeah. Right. Right. Because and it's, so since it's only Hishvus, they allow it. The Rechiva is not really considered as working the animal. Okay, it's only Midei Abanan.
So you're not allowed to ride on a horse today? Are you allowed to ride on a horse?
Officially, it's only Isle Abanan. According to B'Mseda. Anyway, but according to Nachum Madai, he says with the kamatlik ben Schalim and the Kevas, he obviously holds like the Chachamim that in general it's forbidden to sell a sus for Milchama because they had a din like Klei Zayin. Because what they use the animals, these horses, to trample over the people. And so it's like Klei Zayin also. And you're not allowed to sell Klei Zayin to a goy. So they held like the Abanam. But you want to be bechalik azocha and all that you're allowed. And the keva, the Taisa says there's isurim and the keva because they would live within the kevas if they were old. Young not because the young it could harm that it won't have children. But when they get to azocha, old that you're allowed. That's what Nachamada said because it's unusual. Who would buy an older horse? So it was unusual. But Lepel, he's following the shita of the Abanans that say the Chlala horse is Aser. So the Chachamim were upset that Nachamad macht chilukim. If it's old, it's going to be mutter. They didn't want it. He says, that's it, forget about it. Tanya, we don't
make chilukim.
We don't make chilukim. Yeah. Tanya, we don't have ice Nachamad Yema. Hasheves, he says, is dill. It's a vegetable, dill. Misase, you chayv ma'isa when it already grew a seed in it. V'chein yerek, and even when it's just leaves. V'chein zidin, and even when just the branches are coming out. Forget about. Don't listen to him. The only time that it's going to be aser, chayv b'ma'isa is only when it had grown fully with the seed in it. In fact, there's Abelazar who holds like him. In all three stages, so he says, Hasam b'digi nunisa. There, where did Abelazar say these three stages? You're going to be mechuyev ma'isa. If it grows in the garden, there it's much more cultivated, and so it's more full. So yeah, you have to take off ma'isa. But the Tanakh, the Nachman Mother was talking about in a field, a wild field. It's not. It doesn't have the same.
Wild field.
No, in a field where the guy is not using it as a garden to grow fruits and everything. So the Yemada Amalei Rav Achmad ben Yumil Abaya Gavra Rabba Osame Asen, a great person came from the place of Madai. Kol Milsa the Amma, and everything that he's saying, Amalei, you're saying to him, whatever you say, is void. Just
forget about it.
Just disregard it. I remember every time when the bell went on, the bell went on in Ocean Parkway, the principal would run to all the class, just disregard it. So here they say, just disregard Nachamad. Zagni Yemada Amalei. Abaya said, there is one din that we follow like Nachman Madai. The Tanya that we learned, Nabrais Nachman Madai Ema. Shoyel Adam Tzachav. B'Shemei Tefillah. A person can ask for all his needs. In which bracha? In the bracha of Shmei Tefillah. Omar, so Rabbi Abai said, Bami no dahi. Chutz from this Eirah, he says that Eirah is the Tali B'Asher Avravi. It's not because of he said it. It's Tali b'Great great Chachamim. This is a thick rope. It's not him. It's because so many people spoke about it. So yeah, he said it, but it's not. If he would have said it himself, they would have never passed him like that. It's not, no, it might have been his chiddush, but it wasn't gepaskin like him only because the other chachamim also amdu chitan, and they said yeah, yeah. The Tanya that we learned in the Brayso, a person can ask for his needs, and then and then daven shmoneh. First you can ask for all your needs, and then daven shmoneh.
So when do you ask for
You
all
gotta
your
speak
needs?
first.
Shenema, huh?
You gotta talk first.
Talk before
daven?
yeah.
Mitten daven?
Before Shmoneh. Look, Shenema. Tefillah la'ani is talking about for your own needs, and then it says, "V'fnei Hashem yish b'sichli." In front of Hashem, you should pour out sicha. Sicha is Shmoneh. Where do we see that? Ve'in sicha l'tefillah. Sicha is only Shmoneh. Shenema, like it says in the pasuk. Va'yetze yitzchak l'such b'asoda. And the Gemara in Brachas says from this pasuk we learn out that Yitzchak was misakin the tefillas mincha from this pasuk. Rabbi Shuaim Yispalel first daven Shmoneh, Achar kach yishal tzacham, and then ask for your needs. Shenever, like it says, Eshmich lefonav sichi. I will pour out first in front of him, meaning sichi is the Shmoneh, right? And then tzaras lefonav agit, and then my tzara before Hashem I will say over. Rabbi Lezer Nami, in fact, the Gemara Haksiv Eshmich lefonav sichi. How could Rabbi Lezer say? First, you say your tefillah for your needs, and then you do Shmoneh. Here it says first Esper Lefana Sichai. First it says say Shmoneh, and then Tzaras Lefana Bagid. Then ask for your own needs. This is how Rabbi Lezer learns that pasuk. Esper Lefana Sichi. I will pour in front of you my Shmoneh. When will I say the Shmoneh? Bismashe Tzaras Lefana Bagid. In the time that I already asked for all my needs, and now I'm in a daven Shmoneh. Rabbi Yeshua Nami, Haksiv Tefillah Ki Yaktiv. Rabbi Yeshua says you're supposed to say Shmoneh first, but in the Tefillah Ki Yaktiv it says you should ask for your own needs first. So he learns Fakir Hachikama. I must say Tefillah Ani. When should you ask for your own needs? Bizman Shalafnei Hashem Yismich L'Suchay. After you already said Shmoneh. Says the Gemara Machti Kroi Loik Ma'adaiki Loik Ma'adaiki. You can't learn the psukim either. No one can prove from the pasuk to his shita, because each one has a different pshatel in how to learn the pasuk. Says you might be Maikim if the what are they arguing? Says you might get the Darash Rabbi Simloi, like the Darash of the Rabbi Simloi. What the Darash Rabbi Simloi? Loyal inside the Adam Shviv Chaysham Akak is problem. A person should first put in order the shvachim of Hashem, and then ask for his needs.
That's easier to ask for what you want.
Oh, so we'll soon see. From where do we know that? From Moshe Rabbeinu. The chsiv that it says, Hashem Elokim Atach Hilois V'Laharis Esavcha God L'Chales Yotcha Chazar. He says, Moshe Rabbeinu started to tell him, that you started to show me your greatness, your strong hand. You know that the fist, the Shamayim, the Aretz. Uksiba say, and then after it says. Moshe then asked, after he said, no, take me to Eretz Yisrael, let me see Eretz Yisrael. Then he came with his tefillah. Yeshua says, you take learn out from Moshe. That first you are Masada the Shvachim, meaning the tefillah to the Eibishter, then you ask for your needs. We cannot learn out from Moshe. Shaina Moshe, the Rav Guvrei Moshe was different. Rashi says his koyach was so strong, his maisim, his chachma. So David appreciated when he said shvachim. Das given shvachim. Stama men zok shvachim hakt chaynik. He doesn't know what he's saying, and he's doing it out. He wants to show he's a good speaker. Yeah, sure. So not like Rabbi Lezer, not Rabbi Shua. Allah shoyel adam tzacha b'shemei tefillah. That's it. Yes, all you need is in the bracha shmei tefillah. Amar Rav Yehuda Mashmol halacha, like the Chachamim, shoyel adam tzacha b'shemei tefillah. That he asks for his needs in the bracha shmei tefillah. Amar Rav Yehuda b'rei Rav Shmuel bar Shilas. Yeah, that's right. Amar Rav Yehuda b'rei Rav Shmuel bar Shilas. Shilas, I once said, is Shvisi Hashem l'negdi somim. That's Rosh Hashanah. Mishmei the Rav, he said in the name of Rav, Afal Pi Sh'amru Shal Adam Tzarcha, even though the Chacham said one is for his needs in the bracha of B'Shemei Tefillah, Avalim Ba, Loima, B'Sev Kol Bracha Bracha, Me'ein Kol Bracha Bracha, Oima, let's say you're by Rafa'inu, so or by Atachinan, says L'dugma, if a person forgot Talmudeh, he forgot what he learned, he's allowed to be ma'irich at the end of the bracha chayim hadas that they should give him back the memory. Or by the feinu, it says, let's say there's a sick person in the house, he's allowed to ask at the end of the bracha. Only if it's mein yana. But if there's no sick person in the house, the stam ich bet faklali, so you're not allowed to do that. Even though the Chacham said that a person can ask for his needs in the bracha shmei tefillah. If he has a sick person in his house, a family member, and he wants to daven for him, he says in the bracha Rafa'enu. If he needs panasa, then he says in the bracha Birchas Hashanim, I need panasa. It's not going well.
What does he ask by Shemei Tefillah then?
Even though he can ask for anything that he needs, for anything. But you can't do it too long, he says. We can't shmeilich zayin like on Yom Kippur. You can ask, but it has to be short enough. But by the Yiyu L'Ratzin, after he says, before he says Shalom, then Afilu Kiseda Yom Kippur Meimer. Then he could be Marich Hazevi the Seder from Yom Kippurim. Here he says before the pasuk of Yiyu L'Ratzin that we say before Oisei Shalom, there you can be Marich B'Tfilah.
If he forgot about Shemei Tefillah to say it, he can do